Welcome to the very latest on Business Insights. This program brings you comprehensive analysis of the trends in business. Today's focus will be on global perspective on food technologies, linking it to food packaging and the opportunities in that. But as usual, let's first of all furnish you with updates on companies and market dynamics. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) Limited and the African Export-Import Bank (Afrexim Bank) have jointly signed an agreement for a $3 billion loan. This loan will be used to repay debts associated with crude oil, a move that could also potentially strengthen the naira. The signing took place yesterday at Afrexim Bank's headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. The loan will provide an immediate sum of money which will assist NNPCL in supporting the Nigerian government's efforts to stabilize the currency's value through fiscal and monetary policy changes. This announcement was made by NNPCL on Wednesday, August 16, 2023, via its official Twitter account. And the charge d'affaires for the United States Embassy in Nigeria, David Green, is happy with President Bola Tinubu's administration's policies, expressing the growing satisfaction among U.S. businesses and investors. During a virtual press briefing on the U.S. Department of Commerce-led Global Diversity Export Initiative trade mission to Africa, he announced that the U.S. will increase its investments in Nigeria due to the structural changes implemented by the current administration, citing the removal of petrol subsidy and the floating of the naira. He noted the resurgence of interest from U.S. businesses, international investors, and various stakeholders, indicating a promising trajectory for collaboration. The U.S. Undersecretary of Commerce for International Trade, Marisa Lago, also added that the trade mission is focused on Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana due to their substantial economic potential to explore future opportunities across the African continent, tapping into the strength of the African diaspora in the United States for mutual benefits. In a surprising turn of events that has captured the attention of the cryptocurrency community, Binance, a prominent figure in the world of cryptocurrencies, has made the unexpected decision to close its Binance Connect platform, a platform that had facilitated the regulated exchange of cryptocurrencies using traditional currencies. A spokesperson from Binance noted that the platform will cease its operation effective from August 15 due to the discontinuation of support for card payment services by the platform service provider. The timing of this decision coincides with a period of overall decline in the cryptocurrency market, largely attributed to underlying issues within the digital currency system itself. Over 6,700 traders in the United States with assets worth $134.86 million have now liquidated their assets. Away from that, online shopping company Jumia has revealed that its financial performance for the second quarter of 2023 wasn't as good as expected, with the main reason being the economic situation of the country, according to the financial report presented on Tuesday. The document revealed that fewer people bought things from Jumia. Specifically, around this time last year, they had 3.4 million customers buying from them, but this year, only 2.4 million people did buy from them, leading to about 3.8 million fewer orders. Jumia CEO Francis Dufay explained that the company had tried to save money by making big cuts in spending, but the drop in profit is mainly because Nigerians' purchasing power dropped, meaning they now have less money to spend. While tech experts and customers express mixed opinions on the company's ability to overcome these obstacles, the company's CEO is confident in their plans to address these challenges by enhancing supply and assortment relevance, expanding reach beyond primary cities, improving platform usability, and strengthening their Jumia Pay system. Away from Nigeria, Hollywood financier TSG Entertainment has filed a lawsuit against film company Disney, alleging breach of contract and a series of transgressions. The lawsuit is demanding proper compensation, claiming that Disney and its studio, 20th Century Fox, withheld profits and engaged in deals to boost their streaming platforms and stock price. TSG, which co-finances film production and marketing in exchange for a share of gross receipts, alleges that these actions deprived them of funds to invest in films and sell stakes in other movies. The lawsuit cites instances of alleged self-dealing and accounting tricks within financial records. TSG's investment in films produced by 20th Century Fox includes Avatar: The Way of Water, and it totals around $3.3 billion since 2012. The lawsuit demands proper compensation and cites Disney's 2021 deal with Warner Bros. Discovery as negatively affecting TSG's potential profits. WhatsApp is in a testing phase for its AI-generated stickers. These stickers, powered by artificial intelligence technology, are being tested by Android beta testers and are already causing a stir due to what their impact could be. Using a technology supported by Meta, this innovation allows users to convert plain text descriptions into personalized and engaging sticker designs, aiming to elevate user engagement and promote creativity on the platform. By leveraging advanced generative AI technology, WhatsApp intends to simplify the sticker creation process, removing the need for manual selection from an array of existing options. And it is, however, important to note that the actual impact of this depends on factors such as the quality of the AI-generated stickers, user adoption, competition, and user feedback. If the technology gains wider usage, its impact on user engagement, communication habits, and overall platform success will become more apparent. And it's time to now move to market trends. We'll go on a short break. We'll be right back for that. Welcome back to the market aspect of the business news. It is now time to look into the Nigerian Stock Exchange to give you the update of trading as of Wednesday, August 16, 2023. Now, as at this day, the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX saw a total of 291.7 million shares traded in 6,213 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 7.4 billion naira. Compared to the previous NGX trading day, Tuesday, August 15, this data shows 4% improvement in volume, 60% improvement in turnover, and just 1% decline in deals, leaving the current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange at 35.2 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 116 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 17 gainers and 22 losers. Etena led the gainer with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 17.6 naira per share, followed by Computer Warehouse, 8.61% gain, FTN Cocoa Processors, 6.97%, and Livestock Feeds, 5.56% gain. On the losing end, NEM Insurance Company came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 5.4 naira per share, followed by Sunu Assurances, minus 8.51%, Guinea Insurance, minus 7.81%, and Cornerstone Insurance Company, minus 7.09%. Guarantee Trust Holding recorded the highest volume of 41.7 million traded shares, followed by Universal Insurance Company, 22.8 million, United Bank for Africa, 22.6 million, and Sterling Bank, 21.6 million. Now, we also review the Botswana Stock Exchange BSE trading summary for Wednesday, August 16, 2023. At the end of the trading session, a total of 500,019 shares were traded in 17 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 1,040,000 Botswanan pula. Compared to the previous day, 412% improvement was recorded in volume, 86% improvement recorded in turnover, but 19% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Botswana Stock Exchange is 595.2 billion pula. In the aggregate, 7 BSE listed equities participated in trading. ending with only one gainer, namely Absa Bank Botswana, with 0.5% share price appreciation. Turnstar Holdings recorded the highest volume of 474,094 traded shares, followed by Absa Bank Botswana, 10,020, Cresta Maracanelo, 10,000, and First National Bank of Botswana, 2,203. Now to global commodity prices. Wheat sold for 601.75 US cents, while gold sold for 1,897.32 US dollars. The price of copper was $3.67. Silver costed $22.47, and Brent crude costed 83.90 United States dollars. Also prepared for you today is how much the Naira trades in the parallel markets against the dollar and other currencies, barring any sudden change. You must have heard that the Naira gained about 55 units to the US dollar, which is now about 895 Naira. But if you're selling it, it will fetch you 910 Nigerian Naira. We also learned that the British pound cost about 1,175 Naira and sold for 1,185 Naira. For the euro, the buying rate stands at 987 Nigerian Naira and the selling rate is set at 1,005 Naira. Lastly, if you're dealing with the South African rand, the buying rate is 40 Naira and the selling rate would be 41 Naira. And that's the market trend for now. Thank you very much for watching. I am Olaoluwawe. We'll take a break now and return for a robust conversation on the food business. Please stay tuned. technologies are often referred to as the techniques and the processes that bring about better food production, food preservation, and even distribution, such as packaging and all of that. And that is the focus of the conversation today on Business Insight. Welcome once again. I am Olaoluwa Awe, and joining me to have this robust conversation is Ahmed Jayola, our business analyst. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.
Yes, as this is a food discussion, I hope at least that will brighten your mood a bit.
To a very large extent, I like food too.
Don't we all? So let's talk about the global perspectives on food technology. Okay. And let's talk about the food technologies we are familiar with in this part of the world. But we know that there are emerging technologies also. The world has come a long way when it comes to the processes that we use to preserve food, to make our food look beautiful, more presentable, and easily distributed to different parts of the world. So let's start with Nigeria. In a country like Nigeria, how far do you think we have come when it comes to food technologies?
Okay, so Nigeria finds itself, or ourselves, we find ourselves in a very unique situation. Unique in the sense that most of what we have produced in Nigeria have the potential for preservation. The challenge is we've not been able to cross the bridge between production and preservation properly. Right now, most of what we have is things that can last us for maybe a day or two, okay? But we have not graduated to things that can last us for a week or more, all right? What do you call it? Right now, the most exported crop in Nigeria is the cocoa bean. And the cocoa bean is enjoying that facility of being able to, of exporting because of the ability to preserve it. All right, most of those that take coffee will understand better what I'm talking about. So because cocoa bean production, however limited it is, okay, has been able to go through some very, very good preservative techniques that have been initiated in the market. You find that it is desirable to export. It's easier to export because you produce it straight from the farm. It goes to the processing plant. From the processing plant goes into packaging, and it can stay on the shelf for months. When it's to be shipped, it can stay on the ship for months without necessarily degrading in value, as long as, of course, you don't open it to air or so many other contingencies. So food processing in Nigeria has actually gotten better over time. We have a lot of local producers that are able to now create chocolate biscuits that can last on the shelf for, that have a longer shelf life compared to where we are coming from. All right. So you have a lot of technologies that are coming up. You have solar technologies getting implemented in food now. You have AI getting implemented. We will come to all those
we'll get to all of that.
We are quite advanced in Nigeria, actually.
Yes, we'll get to all of that. Let's even talk about the type of food technologies that we have. I think we already started on that path. We'll talk about things like the processing, which you have explained, which are the techniques of modifying or preserving food or packaging food items like canning, freezing, drying, and so on and so forth. But we also need to talk about things like food safety. What has our processes been, or how have our processes in preserving food evolved over the years? We need to talk about food preservation, which you also hinted on, things like pasteurization, irradiation, and chemical additives. We'll talk about food biotech, that's genetically modifying food. Yes. We'll talk about food sensory analysis. There's even food nanotechnology, food engineering, food waste reduction, food analytics, alternative protein sources, and all of those things. Could you just shed more light on these types of food technology?
The So the government, because the government is quite concerned about food production, the agency that is in charge of food production is actually one that is focused much more on the science of food production than the farming techniques of food production. That's the Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology. Okay, so they basically focus on how to, so there was a conference that held a few, sometime this year, the Agrex Summit, all right? At the Agrex Summit, the biggest challenge that they encountered, or should I say that was referred to, was the ability to actually preserve well, okay? And the focus was majorly on the fact that most of the agro products that we have in Nigeria, the major challenge that they have is the fact that many of these products don't, the policy from the government and the support from the government is not allowing them, perform better in preserving them well. So when it comes to food safety, you come to policies that relate to these, food products and the rest of them. Most of these are being regulated by the, the Council of Food Science and Technology, because they are the ones that will be able to verify and say, okay, so this is how long your food should last on the shelf. So they will test, similar to NAFDAC, all right? The Nigerian Food and Drug Administration Council. But these ones are focused much more on the technology that is being used. Say, for example, you use a farm implement. Okay, is it the appropriate farm implement for such a product? If you use maybe some drying machine, is it the appropriate technology that's supposed to be used for the product? Is it too dry? Is it, you understand? You have to check all these things, and the council is majorly focused on that. Now, moving away from the policy end to how it affects the food production end. So, unfortunately, in Nigeria, we're not taking advantage of our agro-space. Agro-space being defined as the land facility that we have available to us and the crop facility that we have available to us. Okay, so one of the conversations that happened at the conference is the fact that cassava can become a better export, an export crop than even oil, if the government properly looks into it. Why? Because recently we had the pandemic, and in the pandemic, the main thing that was being used to produce the sanitizers is ethanol. Ethanol is extracted from cassava. If they had the methods, or should I say the processes and the machinery and the subsidy, because if government should be looking at subsidizing, it should be food production, right? So the subsidy to be able to, have like a central processing plant where you have produced quite all right, but okay, so in this particular plant you can produce ethanol. If that existed, Nigeria will be exporting a lot of ethanol. There are a lot of private companies that are coming into that space right now, but the challenge is the cost of running, the machinery, power, staffing and the rest of them, then the planting of the cassava itself and other source crops for ethanol. Those are huge value chains that a lot of them cannot handle, on their own. So when government is going to step in, government has to step in not only based on the fact that they're creating policies and just doling out policies out there. No, there has to be financial backing so that, when you say a Nigerian farmer is actually doing something, you can actually have a track record and say, okay, so these are the things that the farmer has done. Why? Because the farmer has the ability to show, preserved products, not products that have expired, spoiled, and cannot be traced back to anyone, right?
Now, because if you look at the food chain in Nigeria, a lot has changed. I think we've come a long way. At least now we have, looking at a crop like tomatoes.
Yes.
You know, we have, while we still have the seasonal, you know, tomato thing, at least we have tomato round the year, but it's more expensive around certain times compared to around certain times, according to the farmers, because of seasons and all of that.
Yes.
But at least in terms of preservation, I know there are tech companies that handle preservation for farmers. There are a good number of value providing businesses along that chain. But one of the things we need to also look at is food wastage.
Okay.
You know, we have arable land for food production,
Yes.
but a good number of our preserved foods still come from other countries. We still import tin tomatoes. I know we have, I think there's a tin tomato producing company now in the east.
Yes, somewhere in the east.
Yes, in the east, and that's why I said we have come a long way. But we need to really talk about food wastage. How can we maximize what we produce to ensure that we can use it to improve food sufficiency in Nigeria?
Okay, so that comes to food tracking. Okay, some technology companies in, I believe, okay, let me just say in Europe, okay, have come up with technology where, okay, so it has to be in partnership with the private organizations because they are the ones that actually have direct contact with the customers that eat the food. So when you come into a restaurant, for example, and you eat and you don't finish your food, all right? What is being done to that food after? We talk about recycling, but we limit it to plastics. We talk about recycling. We limit it to reproducible materials. Question, how about recycling wasting food? If I eat rice now, and my rice is remaining, and there is a way to extract a secondary product from that rice, why should I throw it in the dustbin?
What secondary products can you possibly extract from wasted rice?
Very good. So that's one of the reasons why the what do you call it, Food and Science Technology Council is looking into many of these things. In the foreign countries, the technology has already started developing to help them, you know, track these things. But okay, so you mentioned tomatoes earlier, right? Tomato is a perishable food. Rice from before you cooked it, okay, was supposed to be perishable, but because of the way it is preserved, okay, it lasts longer, shelf life. Then you apply water to cook it. You put salt to cook it. Have you noticed that some eateries around, some of them don't salt their rice, especially white rice?
Okay.
And the reason they don't salt it is because of potential for second use. If you don't salt your rice and it is cooked, you carry that rice and you put it in the freezer, it can still last for like 2 or 3 days fresh. Also dependent on how you cook it. That's one of the reasons why a lot of homes have gotten used to parboiling rice, not cooking it to the point where the rice will be soft. They just parboil it enough to, you know, be edible, right? So that by the time they are done eating, they can take the rest, put it in the freezer, the thing has frozen. By the time they want to get it back up, they just use the microwave. And it's fresh again, right? So these are ways by which food wastage is being managed. The reason for creating the microwave, even though it's a technology that developed and derived from another, okay? But the reason a microwave is in almost every home is because of the wastage of food that has been put into, the policies that have been put in place by some countries to prevent waste of food. So you eat only what you need. You can, well, in Nigeria it's beginning to reflect in some homes. Some middle class people are beginning to go as far as they will just pay you, come to my house, cook me a huge pot of soup, cook me a huge pot of rice, cook me a huge pot of this, huge pot of that, and they'll carry everything, put it in the freezer. When it's time to eat, you just go and scoop what you need, put it in the container, take it into the oven, warm it up, and eat it. That reduces food wastage. In many, restaurants, where food that has been eaten just gets thrown away. In some countries, they have partnered with tech companies that come to install the same security cameras that we're using, but there are some technologies that they use to trace. Okay, so what kind of food are they about to dispose? They have agencies that come to collect that food. Instead of them throwing it away, pay them a stipend and take it to the processing plant. And then they turn it to a secondary product that you can, preserve, put on the shelf. Maybe it's even some snack of some sort.
Are you sure that's going to be very healthy?
Of course, it's healthy. It's still good food, as long as you got it from the the client now,
or the
source, the same day, right? Of course, there will be other things in between where I'm sure they will probably have, time limits before, or your preservative techniques in the restaurant, for example. Are you neat people and all those things? I'm sure those conditions will be in place. However, the technology is already there, where they are using it to monitor the food wastage, and they are, deriving from there, going to use it. In some places, they even repurpose the food and give it to people who don't have food. All right, so reducing food wastage has come a long way in advanced countries. But I do believe that it's beginning to sieve into our systems, though through the copycat method. But it's beginning to sieve into our systems little by little. We want to be touche now, we want to be packaged. We don't want to, we noticed that in my friend's house, they just brought the food, put it inside microwave. Me too, I want to have microwave, so that I can also bring food out of this thing and just put it there. And then a lot of wives are now taking advantage of it, and they will just cook on Sunday. And that's the last time they're going to cook for the entire week, and they will just go. They will just travel, just tell daddy, I want to go on holiday, 3 days holiday. When you're supposed to be doing wifely duties, you are somewhere. Daddy's food is in the freezer. Daddy, all you have to do is just carry the food, just bring out, just scoop. They will even give you scooping cup to measure. Scoop, pour, carry into the microwave. So it's coming from the copycat method. It's coming from a lot of cultural perspective. It's coming from a lot of directions, but it is happening, whether we like it or not. The market for microwaves in Nigeria is increasing. Why? More people are beginning to find it a desirable thing in their home.
Now, let's talk about food packaging, which is also an essential part of food technology.
Yes.
And from reports, food packaging can be the reason why you as a business sell your product for 10,000 naira, and another business sells the same product for 50,000 naira.
True.
So how far do you think we have come when it comes to food packaging in Nigeria?
Okay, so I think, from my view, I think we've actually come very, very far. Extremely far. There are some... Okay, so I'll give an example of something that happened yesterday. I needed to take a snack, and I sent one of the staff to go and get me a snack. When I saw the packaging of the biscuit, I paid for it.
You paid?
I paid.
Oh, you paid.
Yes,
okay.
The biscuit was much more expensive than the regular biscuits that I eat. It's both chocolate biscuits, but the way this was packaged, and then I opened it, and then I ate it, the way it was even packaged internally. You understand what I mean by internally? There are some biscuits that are made, mixed biscuits, okay? Where you have, they make them in cookie style, where you have the chocolates, splattered on different sides of the biscuit. Meanwhile, there are those that put it as a sandwich, in sandwich style, where the chocolate is in between, okay? This particular biscuit had a blend of both. Not only did it have a blend of both, the packaging, I still have it kept somewhere, because the design and the quality of the package was so good. right? So we have actually come a very, very long way with packaging in Nigeria. Well, I also would want to think that is due to certain pressures that have happened. And one of those pressures is the fact that Nigeria has been a very, very huge importing country. And because we've imported, most of us that are alive today in Nigeria have probably not seen a Nigerian packaged. We can't identify the difference right now. You literally have to check the packaging to know that, oh, this is produced in Nigeria? Really? Are you sure? Are you sure they did not bring it and assemble it in Nigeria? Do you understand? Food products are beginning to get to that point now, where you have packaged canned tomatoes, all right, from a particular factory somewhere towards the north, and you are comparing it to an imported tomato, what do you call it, sachet, and you literally would prefer the Nigerian tomato pack.
Let's talk about the opportunities in this value chain. You know, for people who are looking for businesses to major in, what are the business opportunities in the food packaging value chain in Nigeria?
The opportunities are huge. Huge. 14 trillion huge.
14 trillion naira?
Yes. Huge. Nigeria has a potential to circulate 14 trillion from food packaging in Nigeria alone. Not our exported products, right? And with reference to cocoa. Cocoa is our highest export right now. Other products. Okay, so certain techniques are coming into the market, all right? I mentioned one earlier, the solar, technique. The solar technique comes in two styles. The first style is the direct. The second style is the indirect. The first style, that is the direct, uses solar technology quite all right, but still uses rays from the sun. You know, something closer to the way we know how to preserve our cocoa, all right? Where, you know, they put it into the sun and they allow the thing dry up, and then they, if you want to blend it, you blend it. If you want to take it in whole form, you take it in whole form. Something similar to how we also preserve our granules, all right? Where you know, put some fire into it.
Roast it.
You roast it and so on and so forth. Similar to how we also create our dried fish, all right? Okay, so there are solar technologies that can help you do that now. However, those solar technologies have become so advanced that they can do it in a very short time. So what would take you maybe like 2-3 days to dry will take you maybe like 1 hour, all right? And remember, it's solar driven, which means you don't need power to be able to run it. And there is plenty sun for us. So you have just that one technology being invested in, and you have the potential to preserve almost every food product in Nigeria. And you are distributing within and outside the country. Every single country in the world wants Nigerian cassava. Every country in the world wants Nigerian cocoa. Just those two products. I've not mentioned tomatoes, I've not mentioned fish, I've not mentioned anything else. We've not come to meat. Just those two products. You go into the value chain, whether you are producing from the farm, or you are creating the facility for gathering, or you are going into the logistics of it, or you are going into the preservative itself, or you are going into packaging, or you are just an export person. These 6 value chains alone are worth 14 trillion naira presently. And for people that are graduating from the university, many people want to graduate now and go and start learning data analysis and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, there are special concessions that are being created by countries like Canada, by countries like America, special visas that are given to people that are coming through farming, and they will even tell you there's no qualification they need, just come. All right? Those things can be done here. Rather than going there to become a farmer, you can actually farm here and make money on your own.
And speaking of food packaging, you know, we're talking about the opportunities in food packaging here in Nigeria. We've not even talked about the food, the packaging designers, and the people who design
yes, the designers, all the graphic designers can come into it. You have those that do creative advertising, video types, and the rest of it. You have those who are marketers, strictly marketing.
There are even engineers, because for you to package a particular food,
yes,
if you want it sealed in a nylon or done in a paper, you also need to look at the science of it. How long would your food last in that package you're putting it into? Exactly.
And that is where you are bringing what they call it, technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain technology. Yes, I'm sure some people listening to me right now will be like, what does blockchain have to do with farming? The logistics of it, tracking, and what do you call it, data, availability of data. Blockchain technology helps to manage that entire chain.
How?
Okay, so what do you call it? You have a supply, for example. Okay, so let me give a hypothetical situation. There is a farmer in Kogi State. There is a farmer in Lagos. There is a farmer somewhere in the east. And there are different farmers, right? All these farmers have products. All these products require tracking. Partnership with tech companies and blockchain technology allows these farmers to have correct inventory systems, where all they have to do is just probably do weighing here, weighing there, weigh there, and then there are videos, okay, that show evidence that, okay, so he didn't weigh stones, he actually weighed this. And the person that wants to buy, whether from India, from Pakistan, wherever you want to buy from, you just go to that platform. You go and check what they have. You go and see that it is weighed. And the company, the tech company that's making it available to you, is assuring that what you saw is what it is. In fact, you even have insurance coming into it, right? So you have blockchain technology managing this entire process all the way to delivery. And that is where AI comes in too. Because AI comes in, manages the conversation, manages the flow. If there's something that you require, maybe a particular process and all that, maybe you want to process to a certain level of dryness. All right? AI, there are machineries now that are AI controlled, that you just tell it, okay, so I want it to this particular, and it's automated. 30% dryness, as long as the person that needs it knows exactly what they want. They put it in, the technology joins up to whatever machine that's here in Nigeria, activates it, you put your products in, it dries to that exact level, packages it, goes into the blockchain, this thing, everybody is noted, okay, so this is available now, because that's how blockchain works. This is available here, it has moved from here to here, just like if you import something from outside the country and they give you a tracking data, yeah, that's blockchain technology. The difference is blockchain technology uses much more advanced methods and so on and so forth. So you bring that into farming, you bring that into food processing, you bring that into the value chain, and you have an almost flawless system.
Yes. Well, if we bring it or step this down to some other food products that an average Nigerian can relate with, I know a company that is into the packaging of food spices.
Yes.
The curries, the thymes, and other types of seasonings. If you go to a good number of supermarkets now, you will see different types of seasonings. You see this leaf they use for jollof rice.
Yes.
It is now dried and packaged and sold in supermarkets. There are all kinds of food seasonings that you will see now, and some of them were packaged in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. That's the interesting thing about this. For almost every preserved foodstuff you find on the shelf, you find a Nigerian counterpart, which in itself speaks to the growth that is happening in the food industry here in Nigeria. But let's also talk about the environmental issues that come with food packaging. Most of our packaged foods are still preserved in nylons, in papers, in bottles. Just recently, the Nigerian bottling company, did a campaign where, they went to the beach to pick the bottles, in these PET bottles that are disposed carelessly, just to sanitize the environment. And they didn't make a promise that they want to reduce, the the number of rubber material, plastic materials they use for their bottles. So how can we really solve this problem? We're at a time where in some other countries they're already considering alternative ways of packaging these things that we find in bottles and nylons.
Plant-based packaging is becoming a potential alternative. I am aware that a particular company, let me not mention their names, their name, in the US, they were sued to court for using plastic materials. What's the name of that chemical? PT, I'll remember the name, is a toxic chemical that you use on plastics and what do you call it, preservative materials, such that the elements can last for years. Okay, I remember the chemical name before we finish. So this particular chemical is available in most plastics, and the moment such plastics degrade in water, they get into the bloodstream, and then they can be responsible for different diseases like cancers, like tumors, like eye blindness, cataracts, different diseases that it can be responsible for. So they were sued in that country. They lost the case. And because they lost the case, they had to tell all their subsidiaries that they must move from using plastic-based products to disseminate their their products, rather, to using paper. Paper is a strictly plant-based material. Now, if you go to certain eateries, they have begun to migrate from plastic-based disposables to paper-based disposables. You go to some pizza shops, they will never give you plastic. It's paper, cardboards, and the rest of it. This has been seen as a potential alternative to it. However, coming back to the environmental issues that you mentioned, I wouldn't want to talk about the problems because most of us know the problems. I want to talk about the technology-driven solutions that have been, that have been trying to put in place. Without mentioning countries, there are countries that have started controlling their weather using technology. They have a controlled area, and that controlled area has artificial rain. Okay? So whatever it is that you plant in that controlled area cannot lack rain, cannot lack sunlight, because there's artificial sunlight. And whenever I say artificial, I mean artificial intelligent sunlight, artificial intelligent rain, artificial intelligent seeds, plants. Nanotechnology has made it possible for you to actually, culture certain plants to grow at certain speeds, to produce the amount that you need. And they have controlled environments that they use to produce these things. There's vertical farming, right? There is non-soil farming.
Please explain what you mean by vertical farming.
Vertical farming is everyone is used to farming, you put it on the ground and all that and so on and so forth. No, people have graduated to, just very little soil or no soil at all. And there's just maybe some plastics, and then you have your plants, in different layers, and it goes up, and they grow up instead of the natural one that we do. You you plant it on the ground and so on and so forth.
Just like warehouses, you have like a warehouse.
Like a warehouse.
You don't have layers.
You now have stacks.
Instead of using a large expanse of land.
So you can take advantage of every inch of space that is in that environment. So, but when I say vertical farming is not so much of the stacks on layers and so on and so forth. That's water, what do you call it, soil-less farming. Okay, where you just have water in different layers and then you plant different products in it. For example, I'm aware that in Nigeria, some companies have decided to use it to attempt to plant tomatoes, and they are using genetically modified tomatoes. And these genetically modified tomatoes even taste sweet. So, number two, usually a tomato's, what do you call it, growth cycle okay, so I don't remember the exact period, but they've been able to shorten the growth cycle of a tomato, and they've been able to increase the yield of the tomato. So, vertical farming has made this possible. More efficient use of space. You can hang and use a shorter amount of space. You know, you're going up instead of going wide. So you can use a smaller space and then take advantage of the entire real estate. Now, there is water-based farming. Water-based farming is you are using just water or sweetened or nutrients-based water, and then you are putting different crops in it. You can actually grow yam in water-based farming.
Now,
you can actually
sorry for cutting you in. I just want to put it out there that some of these food technologies we're talking about, they are not far-fetched. Some of them are already being used in Nigeria.
Being used, yes. They are being used already in Nigeria. Maybe not in volumes, not in mass production.
Not largely.
Yes, not largely, but a lot of people are. In fact, in some homes, okay, people are already going hybrid. How do I explain it now? Hybrid water-based farming, in the sense that in their homes they just get like a plastic, and they put just very little sand, but a lot of water, okay. And then they just continue throwing different products in there. And they've divided the plastic in such a way that you have a tomato here, you have what do you call it, pepper, all right? You have different products. They can have a bowl and, you know, just divide it. In some homes, they've already gone as far as what do you call it, planting potatoes, okay? And then they just put it in a bag. They don't even do water anymore. They don't even do vertical. They just put a bag, and then they soil the bag well, and then they just, you know, get a bottle of Coca-Cola, and then they just puncture it, and then the thing just continues dripping water. Thank
you very much. You know, thank you very much. People have gotten so creative. Education is very important, and that's why research is very important. But we'll continue this conversation because a good number of people are already using these technologies, not even just for subsistence farming,
yes,
but even for commercial farming. I know people with farmhouses in Ogun State, in Lagos here. You know, I know people that plant vegetables on water and all of those things. So we'll continue this conversation on Business Insights tomorrow. Hopefully by then we'll be able to, you know, show you some pictures. So we'll talk about other food technologies that are beginning to shape the food industry in Nigeria and on the global scene. Thank you very much once again, Ahmed Jayola, for your time. And that's the show for today. I am Olaoluwa. Don't miss tomorrow's edition, but have a nice day.